planning on filming this video today at all. I'm back from hiatus. I'm planning on filming more videos. This is what we got today. I just realized I have to share. So, I've been playing around with this for a little while now. This is the actual component. I learned that from Jeffree. This is my first Jeffree Star anything, and I'm like dying. I've been wanting to support him for a long time. Not like he needs any more money. I do love Jeffree Star like so fucking much. He inspires me a lot. I'm sure you've seen this palette already before, but I did want to give a honest review on all of it, and it's been so long since I've made a review. It's insane. These are all of the shades right here. There's 9. This is obviously the mini version of the bigger palette that he released, and I really like it. I think it's a lot more organized than his other palettes I've seen. I love all of the names. So the first shade is Double Scoop. Double Scoop is a pretty transition shade. It's more of like a orange kind of like muted yellow. It's a really good transition shade for obviously the transition crease. I really like it, and it's very creamy. I noticed that about a lot of his mattes. In this palette, I don't own anything else. I couldn't judge upon any other products, but they are very soft. So I'm pretty sure I can differentiate which ones are the eyeshadows and which ones are pressed pigments. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. I'm pretty sure Double Scoop is an eyeshadow. No, it's a very nice shade. It kind of comes off darker than what you would expect in the pan. Yeah, I would say like a tan color. Second shade is this more shimmery neon orange, and it's called Orange Crush. And I'm pretty sure this is a pressed pigment. It does feel kind of like a pressed pigment, but it is almost like a scarlet red, like a Crayola, and I like it a lot. What's weird about it though is there are some shimmers that come off on it. It's not like how it looks in the pan, especially whenever you first swatch it. I kind of expected that though. With more chunky glitters, it is harder to come off onto a brush or even a finger. It does have a tad bit of shimmer, but I'm sure if you blended it into the crease or just blended it onto the eye with a brush, it would dissipate. But I kind of like it more of a matte shade. And the third shade is called Foreplay. This is a more cool toned purple, almost like a Barney purple, and it is very matte. I really like this shade. I did have a little bit of trouble with the purples, most of the purples and the pink shade to blend. These are the mattes I'm talking about. They kind of have, I'm pretty sure because it is a pressed pigment, you really do have to pack them onto the lid and then go in and blend them either with a clean brush or with a small amount on the brush, only because they have to be pressed into the skin. But it wasn't as bad as I expected. A lot of people complain about pressed pigments, but they aren't as hard if you know the technique. But yeah, that shade Foreplay is a gorgeous shade. Very vibrant. Next shade is Oral, and this is, I'm sure this is almost everybody's favorite shade if they own this. It is a beautiful dual chrome, or dual chrome? Duo? Pretty sure, I have forgotten my vocabulary, but it is a beautiful, iridescent, I could say, blue, purple, and almost a little bit of green in there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's my favorite shade. I wear that almost any time I want to use this palette. It's stunning, and it's not as pigmented with a finger swatch, but if you most definitely wet a brush or use a primer on the lid, it'll most definitely show up. And then the next we have Purple Punch, and this one is most definitely a pressed pigment. You can definitely tell in the texture, and it is very, this is the one shade I had a lot of trouble with purples. I know it is very hard to make with the pigment, but it's still, once you apply it onto the eyelid, like I said, pressing it into the skin, it does make a beautiful, oh my gosh, beautiful, beautiful color. It is a lot, not a lot, it is a little bit darker on the skin once you apply it than in the pan, but it is a very beautiful purple, and definitely using Foreplay or other shades in the palette I'll get to as a transition with that shade. And then next we have Slice, and that is a gold yellow, I would say, and it's a little bit chunky, not as bad as what I've seen in other makeup palettes, but it is very pretty. Oh my gosh, it's literally like metal on your eyes, especially if you use, again, a water brush dipped in water or a primer. It is most definitely a gold, and I love it very much. My only problem with both of the metallics is they are kind of they are almost too soft. I understand that is a common reoccurrence in metallics, but they are a little bit soft to the point where when you touch them they kind of bundle up, but it's very easy to blend out onto the eye, especially if you use your fingers with metallics. Next is Bubble Gum, and this is the one I kind of struggle with the most. Right here, when you okay, well, a lot more on camera it looks a lot more, but compared to if I just I definitely think that one is more of a pressed pigment. I think if you digged it down far enough into the pan, or even maybe just scraping the surface, would definitely fix that issue if anyone else has that problem. It is a lot more firm than others. I'm pretty sure that could be just because of the pink or the pigment in it, but it is a very pretty color. So I'm just going to demo this shade very quickly. I do like to kind of, with this shade most definitely, I kind of poke into it. Most definitely shows. Wow, it's a lot more vibrant on camera, but it is more muted in person. But yes, it's just a little bit too pressed, in my opinion. But that's just the technique I use with pressed pigments, is I will just go in, load the brush. I never normally kick it off, especially if it's a pressed shade like this. I tap it into the corner, tap it in, and blend it. And they're not that hard to work with. I don't know why people complain. And then the next shade is Bite Me. This is the last metallic shade in the palette, and this is, oh my gosh, this shade is gorgeous. This is a like almost like I want to say ultraviolet purple. It is very very bright. It is more of a violet than a purple. It's gorgeous, and again, you can wet a brush with this or use primer for more of a very metallic color, but it is very vibrant. Almost all of these shades, except for the last one, are vibrant. Speaking of the last one, this is Hot Fudge. This is a true transition shade, especially for any darker looks you want to do with this palette, or even just below the waterline, whatever you want to do, of course. This is literally just I want to say like a clay color. It's like a brown clay kind of color, and it's, again, perfect for transition. And Only thing I had with that is, with the palette, you can definitely use it with any of the colors, but it is very different from all the other shades in the palette. I don't know exactly what you could use it with other than the purples in the palette, but it is mainly purples in the palette. That's my own opinion on that. But yes, that is another one that I kind of had an issue with, but I will show you again with this shade. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a pressed pigment as well. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but this one does definitely have a lot of fallout, but that is expected with pressed pigments. So you can literally just pack it onto the lid like so. And blend. These shadows do blend pretty well together. Granted, it was a lighter shade I had on, but as you can see, they really blend well together. Actually came out nice. I'm pretty sure this palette was $32 or $30, I'm pretty sure it was $32. I think it is good for the quality. You're getting 9 shades out of $32. It's a pretty good price, especially for Jeffree Star, and you're getting a whole palette and excellent quality on the packaging. It is weighted, which is nice. It's pretty small. My makeup bag just right here. It fits, if I make room for it. It fits pretty well into a makeup bag, and I don't know how much it does have. Funny enough, it does have a little bit of cushion on the outside you could use, and you know, for traveling and whatnot. I do think that it would be fine traveling, but that's all up to the person. It is an excellent palette. I have loved it for the time being, and yeah, my only complaint is about the 2 shades, Purple Punch and Bubblegum. I only complain because they are a little bit patchy, and Bubblegum is, as much as it is pretty on the eyelid, it is hard to get out of the pan. A Double Scoop and Foreplay are a little bit too soft, and same with the Oral and Slice Metallics. They are a little bit soft, so I would be careful with those, even just repressing them yourselves, or just being very careful or gentle, or even just using them with your fingers. That's the best way for me, and especially just being able to press them back down. They do have an interesting texture, but obviously most pressed pigments have a different texture than eyeshadows. But if you use a brush, it's a lot easier. And yeah, that is my final verdict on it. I do really like this palette. I definitely would purchase it if you got the $32 for this, and it's not the only $32 in your bank account. I really just love Jeffree Star. He's an excellent businessman and an excellent person, even though I have not met him. I do love him. This palette is cruelty free. I personally think that's pretty good. Everything is listed on the back, all of the ingredients. Only concerning thing I can see in the ingredients, obviously, talc and mica, the 2 things people are most concerned about. Nothing too concerning, it's just all preference to me. But in most of the shades, Hot Fudge Bubblegum, Double Scoop, Foreplay, Orange Crush, and Orange Crush, all of the top ingredients are talc. And in Bite Me, Oral, and Slice, the first ingredient is mica. In all the other shades, that is the second ingredient in them as well. If that is concerning to anyone, just to let you know. But yeah, I do think it is a good purchase. I do think it is worth it. Oh my god, the dragonfly just like flew right at my window. It is a very good palette. I have loved it. I love it. And I'm just happy I can have it. That was my review. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Please comment down below if I was incorrect about any of the pressed pigments. I'm not completely sure, I'm going off of judgment, but yeah. Thank you for watching, and I just got a notification for 20%.